transferred my vaccine, I'd have done it. But of course, if we could do that, we'd have total chaos.
Vaccine debate. Outrage grows over who is getting the vaccine and why. Is it ever fair to cut ahead of frontline workers and the elderly? Back to school, the CDC issues new recommendations, why they say it is safe to send your kids to school even if their teachers aren't vaccinated.
Career makeover, how one local wedding photographer switched gears to find work during the pandemic, plus expert advice on how you can do the same thing. Movie mayhem, the Golden Globe nominations are out, and the winner is streaming services, what it means for the future of movie theaters, and Super Bowl bound.
It's an honor to be chosen to do this, but I couldn't do what I do without everyone that I work with.
Meet the deserving healthcare workers who got the surprise of a lifetime. What's new starts now.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
And hello again, Northeast Ohio. Welcome to our Wednesday installment of What's New. Hump Day, halfway home.
Yep.
Thanks so much for choosing us alongside Betsy Kling. I'm Jay Crawford. Betsy, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you. And believe it or not, everybody, we get to start with some good news today. That's how we do like to start this show. Ohio hit a vaccination milestone today. For the first time, the number of people who have received the first dose of vaccine surpassed the total number of positive COVID cases since the beginning of the pandemic. Now, these are some big numbers, and they're awesome numbers, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Brandon Simmons joins us now with more on that and some of the ethics concerns that are popping up along the way. Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Betsy. Yeah, this is some good news. Here are the numbers. 908,096 first doses have been administered since December when vaccinations first began. That's about 1,300 more than the total number of cases the state has officially counted so far. And you can see by this graph, Ohio has seen vaccinations accelerate sharply over the last couple weeks while positive cases have slowed down as of late. But you're right, this is far from over and we're still battling vaccine shortages. Now, because of that, some are questioning whether or not they should get the vaccine, considering some people who are more vulnerable still haven't had a chance to get it yet. We spoke to a local bioethics expert who says as long as you're not breaking the rules, then you should elect to take the vaccine if you have a chance.
And though we feel uncomfortable because we ourselves individually don't feel like we're in the greatest need, the fact that your refusal will result in the waste of a vaccine, this is one of those strange places where you have to say public health ethics, it overrides here.
Now, the key here is that we don't want vaccines to go to waste. The chief operating officer at University Hospitals told me it's hard to avoid having extra doses come available at the last minute because of the multi-dose vials and the vaccine storage requirements. Now, while they try their best to make sure all those doses go to the 1B population, sometimes they have to take whoever's available at the moment to ensure that none of those doses are wasted, Betsy. Now, coming up at 6 on What Matters Most, we'll show you an example of someone who jumped the line the wrong way and some situations where those who weren't eligible received the vaccine as a last resort.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories that are coming out now of various people who kind of just happen upon a vaccine dose. Yes, take it. If you're offered one, take it. Get it over with, and then we'll fill in the blanks afterward. Brandon, thank you so much for that. And we do want to make sure everybody knows one other thing, just to kind of reiterate for everybody. Our experts point out that the vaccine is being distributed locally, not nationally. Let me put that in a different phrase. Each state has different rules, and moving forward, they're going to be going out at different paces. So if you see somebody from somewhere else on Facebook who's getting the vaccine and you're saying to yourself, I don't think that they qualify, remember their state, their county, their local distribution policy could be at a different place, a different part of the process. It doesn't necessarily mean that they've cut the line. I know Facebook can be an interesting place for comments, so just keep that in mind as you post yours. Well, now a look at the state of COVID in Ohio. Overnight, 3,991 cases were reported. That's 2,800 fewer than 1 month ago today. This is great news. It's also 1,100 below the area's 21-day average.
Betsy, our positivity rate, though, jumped into double digits. That's the first time it's been there in 10 days. The positive storyline here continues to be hospitalizations, down again, more than 100 patients from yesterday. This makes 9 straight days below 3,000, so expect the governor to push that curfew back from 11 p.m. to midnight next week. Our deaths also down day to day, but sadly there were still 94 Ohioans that lost their lives due to complications of COVID-19. Now, on your feed at 5, the new CDC director says schools can safely reopen even if teachers don't have the COVID-19 vaccine. Dr. Rochelle Walensky cited CDC data showing that social distancing and wearing a mask significantly reduces the spread of the virus in school settings. We asked our viewers on the WKYC Twitter page how you feel about that, and most of you are saying that you would feel safe sending your kids back to school. In fact, right now, 58% of you say that even if teachers have not been vaccinated, you're okay with sending your kids back to school. Betsy, the CDC considers teachers essential workers. I think we'd all agree they are. But many still haven't received their vaccines yet. In fact, here in Ohio, vaccines will start this week. More than 3,500 Medina County school workers are scheduled to get that first shot tomorrow. Also, Betsy, I did a little digging today, and I found a study that was published just this week. It was done by a Wisconsin physician, and his findings were really pretty stark. He found that COVID transmission inside the classrooms that he studied was actually 37% lower than COVID transmissions out and about in those same communities. Very interesting stats. By looking at this study, and I read the entire study, it makes it pretty clear that classrooms are actually a more safer environment, at least on the findings of this study, than just being out and about generally in the community.
Well, it's as a parent who opted to keep our kids home, they're still home at this point. That was our decision to do that. I think it just goes back to the fact that parents have to make the best decisions for their families. And keep in mind, the superintendents and the folks making the decisions on the district level are literally like bombarded with information, and they're trying to make the best decisions for the district as a whole. It's not perfect, most certainly, but you just kind of have to do your own deciding and see how things go. We all have to be flexible. And good luck to our teachers as you get your vaccines pretty soon. We're pulling for you. Well, our good friend Russ Mitchell joins us now with some other big stories that are making headlines at this hour. Hi there, Russ.
Hey, Betsy. Here's what's happening. A new study shows promising results for the Oxford AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine. Researchers say the vaccine is 76% effective for 3 months after just one dose. The study also found it reduced transmission of the virus by almost 2/3 after the first dose. The remains of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick were escorted this morning from the Capitol Rotunda to Arlington National Cemetery. Officer Sicknick was injured during the Capitol riots last month and died the next day. His remains were brought to the Rotunda last night. President Biden was among those who paid their respects. And House Democrats will vote tomorrow on stripping Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee assignments. She is accused of making false and inflammatory comments, including calling for violence against prominent Democrats. The vote comes after Republican leaders said they would not force Taylor Greene to step down from her committee assignments. And that is all for now. Betsy, I'll see you at 6 o'clock.
All right. We'll see you then, Russ. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, how about this story? 3 local healthcare workers will get the chance to attend this year's Super Bowl. It's good timing for them. It's in sunny Tampa, Florida. They were selected by the Cleveland Browns as well as university hospitals for their commitment during the COVID crisis. Will Ewick spoke to them and has their story.
There's been many sleepless nights and extra shifts for doctors and nurses around the country during this pandemic, so the NFL decided to give back in the form of a once-in-a-lifetime trip.
The NFL gave every team a few spots to hand out for the trip, which includes airfare, hotel, and tickets to Super Bowl 55. The Browns worked with their medical partner, University Hospitals, and decided to select Dr. Rana Hejal, the medical director of Cleveland's intensive care unit, Rolando Marandilla, a nurse in Parma, and Catherine Wilson, an assistant nurse manager downtown. UH says these 3 were picked for their commitment to the community and the sacrifices they have all made during the pandemic.
It's going to be my very first time that I'm going to be able to go to a football game. I was, really speechless.
I think I said, "Are you serious?" Like 6 times. I didn't believe that on the phone or anywhere. So
I was honored to represent everybody. Everybody's happy that I'm going, but I wish I could take everybody.
Health and safety protocols will be in place, like social distancing and mask wearing, but still a much needed mini vacation and break from reality for 3 well-deserving people. In Parma, Will Ewick, 3 News.
All right, well, that's a great story. We mentioned some time ago that the NFL, after much contemplation, decided that they were going to cap the attendance at 25,000 at Raymond James Stadium for the game. And they also announced that of that 25,000, 7,500 of those attending the game will be frontline workers. And Betsy, how cool is this? I mean, A, you get to go to a Super Bowl, and I love Rolando. This is going to be the first football game he's ever been to. Secondly, you get a trip to Tampa, Florida in February. That's above average. That doesn't stink.
It is above average. Keep in mind the weather forecast for Tampa, Florida on Sunday, 73. That's good.
Perfect.
Partly sunny, chance for showers, and it's going to be breezy. So
Rain
they could
on
have
me.
a little bit of wet, Super Bowl this year.
Rain on me if it's 73.
Yeah,
I'm okay
right?
with that. That's pretty
all
good
relative.
deal. I hope they all have fun, and I want to say it is certainly well-deserving that they get the opportunity to do that. Ahead on What's News, so many people have struggled with work during the pandemic. We talked to a local wedding photographer about how he reinvented his career after most weddings were canceled. Tips for everyone looking for that job makeover.
And later, an update on that confrontation between LeBron James and the woman named the Courtside Karen. What she is saying about the incident now. We're also going to have a look at your forecast straight ahead.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Well, it's time now for our special segment called Your New Job. And over the last few weeks, we've been introducing you to people who have had to reinvent themselves after the pandemic impacted their jobs. Well, tonight, consumer investigator Danielle Serino shares the story of a local photographer who opened his eyes to a new way of taking pictures.
For 20 years, business was picture perfect for photographer Mark Madeir, who made his living shooting weddings and portraits until cell phone cameras came along.
When digital photography finally became affordable enough where just about anybody with a digital camera could call themselves a photographer, it became so bad that I had to find work elsewhere.
And where he found work? Someplace he never dreamed, as an ophthalmic photographer. Never heard of that? Neither had Mark until a counselor with the state's job search program told him to go for it.
Read the description and saw that I didn't have medical terminology, didn't have ophthalmic photography experience, and I told my counselor, I don't have the requirements that they're asking for. It would be kind of a waste of time, wouldn't it? And she said, well, if they've been advertising it for 2 months and they haven't filled it, they may be willing to train you.
Which is exactly what happened and how job coaches say you can stay in the game.
Very few of us actually have the exact job and job title that we're now going for next, right? Because otherwise there would be no progression through the ranks. So you have to be able to connect the dots for the employer as to how your skills in one arena transfer into this new arena.
He still took pictures on the side, even selling his images for customized accessories. But when COVID hit, that income took a hit as well. So he explored something new, 360-degree photography. It's not what you see on hotel websites. It's like being there. The idea came to him while trying to find a nursing home for his mother-in-law.
Because they were not allowing in-person tours because of the pandemic, it was kind of like, well, how do we know what your facilities look like?
Here you can see every nook and cranny, up to the lighting on the ceiling. It's technology he's using to showcase tourist attractions like the Mansfield Reformatory.
So these are actual cells going down through here. But as we spin around, you can kind of see everything around.
And now he's marketing to funeral homes, museums, and other places people may not be comfortable visiting because of COVID. Which takes us to an unexpected boost to his business. With everyone cleaning out their homes these days, photo restoration has taken off.
They have these old photographs that they find in the attic or in the basement. They're literally falling apart in some cases. And we can digitally scan those images and digitally fix all the problems that you see that look impossible to fix, but they really can be fixed.
Which is kind of the message Mark has for those who feel they're against the wall job-wise. Success can come if you look for it.
You know, you can look at the want ads in the newspaper, you can go online, but you really have to be proactive about it. You can't just list a resume and expect people to come beat your door down.
If you're looking for work, the Ohio Means Jobs program has information on employment, on-the-job training, scholarships, and job search tools. You can find it online or at an in-person site. I put a link on our website. I'm Danielle Serino, 3 News.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Always good to kind of think new ways on the old school, job that you have. We have to spin new ways of doing news and weather all the time. And thankfully, we have Matt Wintz on our team to guide us through it all.
Yeah, and today, Matt, your weather word, I want to praise Mark. What a great job. I think he was incredibly creative. And that's the word you get to roll into your weather forecast today. Creative.
Ooh. Be creative for us, Matt.
Oh, I thought it was Mark. I thought you wanted me to say Mark. Yeah, I got it. We'll get that. We'll get that in there. Well, hey, Jay and Betsy, while I have you, I just want to remind you, you've got 2 days until National Weather Person's Day on Friday. Betsy, you're kind of exempt from this because obviously you're a weather person. But Jay, you better get shopping now. 2-day shipping, and again, that's on Friday. So I would expect something either to be delivered or whatever. So it's the one day that you don't have to say, darn you, weatherman. You can say, I kind of appreciate you sometimes. So I'll certainly, I'll wait for that. All right, let's talk temperatures out there this evening. It is once again chilly. We've got cooler temps where we've actually had clearing skies. We saw the bright sunshine breaking out as you got away from the snow belt today. As expected, we're in the 20s. Generally, the clouds kind of insulating that atmosphere, so still in the 30s as you get out towards the east. But the number that we really care about is the feels like temperature. Feels like the low teens to upper teens to near 20 at times. So another very cold evening. We flipped the calendar to February, I think. It still feels like January outside. Here's those stubborn clouds, the lake effect variety. These will start to dwindle over the next couple hours. We've seen some sun peaks off towards the west. When we have clear skies and calming winds, I showed this yesterday, we had those tight isobars. Well, they're relaxing as high pressure settles in. And as we have those clear skies and calming winds, we're going to chill down tonight. I think many of us down near 10. I think as you still get up towards the lakeshore, we should settle into the teens. But a cold night ahead. Then all eyes turn off towards the west. This is our next weather maker. It'll form an area of low pressure. And look at the extent of the watches and warnings. They've got blizzard warnings expected in Iowa, winter storm warnings. Notice how the track is just north of us. That's where the bulk of the snowfall will be with this. And in terms of that blizzard warning, there's not going to be a lot of snow in Iowa, but remember, it's not about how much snow falls, it's about visibilities. They're expecting about 2 to 4 inches with some wind, but the bulk of the snow will be up in Michigan and Wisconsin from this. But I mentioned that wind because that's really going to be our main impact outside of some rain and snow here, is that wind is going to be howling by the time Friday rolls around. Let's take you with your National Design Mart hour-by-hour forecast. So you can see those clouds heading out tonight. A couple high clouds replacing that. Tomorrow morning temperatures will be on the cold side, near 10 in spots. But look how quickly we flip the script. By noon tomorrow, I think we break out into some early sunshine. Temperatures well up into the 30s with a breezy south wind. And then the system starts to move in. It'll likely come in with some rain and big old wet snowflakes from west to east tomorrow evening. You can see how that overspreads the area, becoming mainly rain, says this model. We still may have some pockets of some snow in some of those higher terrain areas, but we're in the mid-30s to upper 30s by midnight. And then here's your Friday. Front goes by, winds are howling, temperatures dropping. We'll likely have some scattered snow showers out there as well. It will be getting much colder hour by hour on your Northeast Ohio Friday. After that, your Union Home Mortgage 7-day forecast. Got to get creative as we get towards the weekend because temperatures are going to drop. Special thanks to the producer for that one. 30s down here on Friday. There's your weekend. Again, we're tracking some snow and much colder temperatures Sunday, but that real cold Arctic air looks to hold off just towards our west, so we're going to stay in the 20s. We'll talk more about that coming up in the next weather segment in the next half hour, but they are towing that line. And Betsy, you've been mentioning that the last couple of days between getting that really cold air and staying just on the fringe of it. But once it gets here, it looks like it's going to get here.
Yeah, and it's going to stay here. That's the difference. We have a good pattern change coming, so get ready, everybody. All right, Matt, thanks so much. We'll see you again in about a half hour or so. Well, coming up for the rest of us, the Golden Globe nominations were announced today. We'll tell you who is hosting the ceremony and how ahead in Pop Break.
And later, talk about best friends. Will you look at these cats, Betsy? They're totally worth the watch. You'll see more of this video when What's New comes right back. Today's Save Our Sauce segment, we are highlighting Wonton Gourmet on Payne Avenue. They offer hot pot dishes, Hong Kong-style noodles, and classic Cantonese fare. Using takeout or delivery. You can order right now. Visit WKYC.com for a full list of great restaurants in this neighborhood from our very own Doug Tratner.
Hi, yes I can. Hello, darling. 1, 2, 3, testes, testes. 1 and 2, sometimes 3 if there's a medical condition. You're very welcome. All right.
Romance rumors are swirling about Aaron Rodgers and actress Shailene Woodley. Plus, Golden Globe nominations are out. Kara Cotton has the scoop on who's leading the nomination list and how the show will be presented this year. It's all in today's Pop Break.
Don't mess with the king. Just days after LeBron James was involved in a courtside argument with Juliana Carlos, the 25-year-old, now widely known as Courtside Karen, has issued an apology. Video from the Hawks versus Lakers game shows Carlos removing her mask and yelling at the four-time NBA champion. In a post on Instagram, she wrote, "I want to apologize for losing my cool and removing my mask in the heat of the moment." She went on to say, "Sports wouldn't be sports without a little trash talking." But James was a good sport about the incident, saying he didn't think they should have been kicked out and simply tweeted, "Courtside Karen was mad." Switching gears now to award season, the nominations for this year's Golden Globes have officially been announced.
This is Herman Mankiewicz, but we have to call him Mank.
The Netflix movie Mank leads the way with 6 nominations for categories including Best Director, Screenplay, and Original Score. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler will return as hosts for the 78th ceremony, but on separate coasts. Tina will broadcast from New York and Amy from California. This year's ceremony will air live on February 28th, right here on NBC. And apparently, you can find love during a pandemic. At least that's the story Shailene Woodley and Aaron Rodgers are telling. According to reports, the Little Big Lies star and Green Bay Packers QB have been in a long-distance relationship for a while. The two were keeping their love under wraps due to the distance and the ongoing NFL season. But now that that's out of the way, we wish these two the best of luck.
Love is definitely in the air, and as Valentine's Day quickly approaches, here's to hoping we all feel loved in one way or another. Back to you guys. Thank you so much, Kira. Well, it's time now for our Worth the Watch. And check out these two cats. How adorable is this? They are totally best buds, walking side by side in sync with one another. And when one stops, the other one stops. And they kind of just hold tails. It's so cute. Have you ever seen the movie, the wonderful Disney animated classic, Lady and the Tramp?
I have.
And the evil Siamese twins?
Yes.
Doesn't that remind you of the evil Siamese twins?
Now that you mention it, it kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are not Siamese cats, obviously, but the way that they're moving together.
It's just incredible to me, Bets, that they do that.
Yeah. They like each other up and say, I'm just surprised they're out in the snow like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've not big on cat ownership. I've had a few because my wife loves them, and I've never, any cat we've ever owned has never wanted anything to do with another cat.
Yeah.
Like to the point where the nails come out, if you know what I mean.
They're
They love
happy
each other.
together.
Yeah, good for them.
Love seeing that.
Everybody should find someone that makes them that happy.
This is true, definitely. Well, when was the last time you went to the movies? Coming up, well, most of us, it has been a long time.
Over a year.
Yeah, right? What does this mean for the movie industry? Will it bounce back after COVID? We'll hear from the experts about how the business might change.
I still say there's something special about going to the movies.
Yeah.
Also, in honor of Black History Month, throughout the month of February, every day we're profiling trailblazing African Americans from Ohio. Today, we celebrate a Cleveland man who broke through racial barriers in the financial industry.
And later, I'm so thrilled with this story, teaching in the time of coronavirus. This pandemic has definitely been hard on our educators. We're going to profile one woman who uses her past motivation to inspire students in their future in our 21 Strong series. That's coming up.
Oldest daughter, she goes to St. Joe's, but she only goes 3 days a week. So.
Oh yes, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Going to the movies, please put on your pants, your coats, your hats, and your scarves.
Yep, I gotcha. Mic check, we were talking about Black history and the financial industry, which is pretty interesting. Okay. Yes. you. I wore it, I think it was Sunday.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's New. As usual, on the commercial break, Jay lays down a fantastic story. You painted in your first job on television?
Absolutely. Because I was desperate to get the money. I was painting houses after I graduated college before I got into sports. And so, you do what you have to do to make an extra buck. And, there's the story.
They said we need some painting done, and we know you can do painting, so...
Give me a brush.
There you go.
Give me a brush. It worked out.
Tenacity.
Hey, welcome to the second half hour of What's New with Betsy. I'm Jay, and we begin every day at 5:30 with 3 things you need to know. A sad update about former Browns head coach Marty Schottenheimer. I always liked Marty, had great success here. His family today announced he's moved into a hospice facility near his home in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's because of complications from Alzheimer's. Marty was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2014. He led the Browns from 1984 to 1988, and what a run he had here. Coached in the NFL for 21 seasons. He is, Betsy, the only eligible coach with at least 200 wins not to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Well, the Senate leaders agreed to a power-sharing deal today. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said he and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell agreed on committee rations and other details in the 50-50 chamber. Democrats have a slim edge because of Vice President Kamala Harris, and she's the tie-breaking vote. Now, this ends weeks-long standoff that stopped the new Democratic majority from setting up operations. And here is a look at the progress the U.S. is making on vaccinating Americans. At least 30 states, including Ohio, have given the first dose to 7 to 9% of the population. According to the state's website, we have vaccinated 908,000 Ohioans. That puts more vaccinations over cases. That's great. But still, only a handful of states are above 9%.
All right, Betsy, now on to our top talker at 5:30, and it is the future of movie theaters. Where's it going? The Golden Globes nominations are out today, and based on who was nominated, it looks like the experts spent a whole lot of time over the last year doing what we've all done, and that's watching Netflix. The movies Mank and Trial of Chicago 7 and the series The Crown all picked up several nominations. Other streaming services like Amazon Prime and Apple TV also got nods. So the big question is, will the show go on inside movie theaters after this pandemic ends? Our January Keaton talked with local experts on what's next for our movie viewing experiences.
Admit it, we have an emotional attachment to movie going, but 2020 was rough for cinema thanks to COVID-19. We can all remember going to the movies in our childhood and what a big deal that was. But now we can barely be around each other without practically wearing a hazmat suit. Will going out to the movies ever be a popular thing again?
I really believe that there's going to be pent-up demand for people to return to movie theaters and just live entertainment overall.
Patrick Shepard, Associate Director of the Cleveland International Film Festival, says the lack of gathering has thrown a wrench in theater receipts, but he's optimistic it won't last forever.
It's going to come back. It's just a matter of when we reach herd immunity and the vaccination is widely and broadly available.
It's because of the inability of folks to gather in groups. So streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, they've been the vibe for people looking to go to the movies without actually, well, going to the movies. Netflix alone boasting several Golden Globe nods this year for series like Schitt's Creek, The Crown, and Mank.
Certainly the business model and the delivery model for films is evolving, but we have a firm belief that there is going to be an appetite for people to have a dinner and a movie experience.
But for now, in 2021, streaming is the new movie going. What used to be the norm of waiting for a movie to come out and then going to the theater to see it is now more like comfy clothes, couch, and chill.
That's right. Now, big cinemas like AMC, they're tossing around the idea of offering subscription services to watch movies on their website. They're also thinking about renting out some of their theaters so you can watch big sporting events and things like that, like boxing matches and the Super Bowl, just to try to recoup some of the financial loss that COVID has brought them. Now, I think that's a great idea. I'm just going to jump in real quick. You can't beat the communal feeling, right, of going to the movies, big dark theater, huge screen, greasy bag of popcorn, and finally getting to wear real pants. Live in downtown Cleveland, January Keaton, 3 News.
January, I love that. You're right. Yeah, but we've all just definitely gotten comfortable in our pajamas at home. January, thank you very much. Yeah, so Bets, when you think about like the evolution of television, we all used to watch on Thursday night Cheers or whatever your show was. It was appointment viewing.
Right.
We don't view television series that way anymore. When you look at the Emmy Awards and where they're going, they're all streaming. So we're not watching these in our own homes at the same time anymore. Maybe that is the future of movies. Maybe we'll just stream them on our own and not go to the big theaters. I hope that isn't the case, but I think that's where we're going.
Well, Disney released some of their new releases straight to streaming. You had to pay for it, which we thought was pretty shady, but you know, they got to make money on it too. They got to pay their bills most certainly. And can I just say the one thing that really excited me about, well, the other thing that excited me about January's report is that the sun was still up.
I noticed that.
I was looking and I looked outside.
5:35?
5:47 tonight is our sunset time. So
very good.
Little by little, everybody.
Very good.
Well, each day this month, 3 News is celebrating a Black History moment with an Ohio connection. Today, breaking barriers in the world of finance. Romney Smith joins us with the story. Hi, Rom.
Hey, Betsy. Well, I've loved researching and bringing you guys all of these facts every day. And today, I'm highlighting the first Black licensed stock dealer in the Midwest, who also happened to found the first Black-owned brokerage in the entire nation right here in Cleveland. Norman L. McGee was born in Georgia, educated in Washington, D.C. at Howard University, and moved to Cleveland to practice law in 1925. In 1952, he founded McGee & Company to encourage Black people to acquire more influence in the financial world. McGee & Company was the first Black-owned firm in the nation to be licensed by the National Association of Securities Dealers, inspiring other African Americans to get involved with financial businesses. And that's not all. McGee was also one of the first editors of the Call and Post, which is Ohio's most prominent Black newspaper at the time, with a circulation of 10,000. So, of course, I had to throw in that journalism tie, of course.
Absolutely. You have found some of the most fascinating facets of Northeast Ohio. We really appreciate these reports.
Today's just day 3. We've got so much more.
I'm excited to hear more. Thank you so much, Romney.
Coming up next on What's New, the 2 Super Bowl bound players who might have to sit out the big game because of, get this, a haircut.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. Bad decision.
And later, I am so thrilled to get to introduce you to a woman with the Cleveland Metropolitan School District who is moving mountains to educate kids during this time of the pandemic. That's ahead in our 21 Strong series. And Matt's going to have an update on the forecast.
Hey, yes I do. Okay, great. Hey Jay, we are getting responses to people in the poll, and they are falling into two groups, people who care and who don't care.
It's so funny when we all of a sudden notice changes that have been actually taking place for the last several weeks, and our eyes are open. We're like, wow, it's still daylight outside, and what a beautiful evening we have going on, even though it's chilly.
Yeah, Betsy, beautiful sunset ongoing for most of us. You get out towards the east, you're not really seeing this a whole lot, but a live look at our CSU cam showing why Cleveland is just so beautiful, even in the midst of some cold spells. We could find a beauty in that. Just absolutely gorgeous. I could even see some of the sunlight out of the basement here, Betsy. It's fantastic. Wow. So here's what we've got. Lingering clouds today, kind of shrinking in coverage. Clearing sky is going to take over tonight. Reason why, we've got high pressure that's pushing in, and that high pressure has really eased our winds off. It's been a windy set of days here over the last few days, but you can see we've got some calm weather taking shape tonight. But things will start to change as we look off towards the west. We're eventually going to be dealing with this system, which doesn't look like much now, but that will really come together as we go through the overnight. In fact, they've got blizzard warnings in advance of this. Winter storm, winter weather advisories just off towards our north. Most of the impacts will be felt areas of Michigan and Wisconsin with this one. Not expecting much more than some rain and snow mix to move in here with this. So tonight, as we take you hour by hour through that forecast, some high clouds coming back in. It's going to be cold tonight with those clear skies and high pressure. We should settle down into the lower teens, a little bit warmer as you get up towards the lakeshore. Tomorrow, we're going to have such a quick turnaround. A gusty south wind will start with some sunshine. Temperatures are going to spike to the upper 30s pretty quickly tomorrow, and then we bring our system in. Should be a mix of some rain and some big old gloppy wet snowflakes, kind of messy as we get towards the 6, 7, 8 o'clock hour out west. That will spread off towards the east as we go throughout the evening, and most of it should churn over to some rain overnight tonight with still some wet snowflakes mixed in. And then the cold air hits on Friday. Friday, we'll see some early snow clearing on out. It'll be very windy on Friday. Winds could gust over 40 at times, and we'll likely have some scattered snow showers around with temperatures that start in the 30s and they fall into the 20s as we go throughout the afternoon, evening. A rough-looking Friday night if you do have any plans to head on out. In terms of air masses this time of year, this is taking you back to Weather 101. Continental, polar, and Arctic are the two that we get. It's so hard to get Arctic air down in the continental United States, but it's up there right now. In fact, this originated in the Arctic Circle. It is now heading into areas of Western Canada, and that's where Mother Nature goes and grabs it if we are going to get it. And that looks to slide south as we get it into the time frame Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now, how cold are we going to get? We're going to be right on the periphery. So here's Monday morning's wind chills. Look at how cold it's going to be to our north and the west. but notice we are right on that dividing line between the Arctic cold and not. In fact, there's going to be a little wave of some warmth that might come in here Tuesday before everything comes spiraling back in. Look at the big picture of how this kind of pans out. We've got the high pressure now. This system that heads by tomorrow and Friday will drag that cold air in. And now, because we're on the southern periphery of it, it does look like we're going to be getting these quick little hits of snow on that southern storm track. But boy, we are flirting with some very cold air, and that looks to stay in our forecast as we go into next week, and might as well throw some moisture on it. Union Home Mortgage 7-day forecast. There's our cold weekend ahead after our system, and then next week, we're dancing with that Arctic air. It does look like we may get a little messy around here on Tuesday. We'll continue to fine-tune that forecast. Jay?
All right, Matt, thank you very much. We'll see you tonight at 7 o'clock on Front Row. All right, let's revisit our question of the day. We asked you earlier, would you feel safe sending your kids back to school even if teachers do not have a COVID vaccine? And the results are pretty much unchanged from where they were when we showed you in the first half hour. More than 58% of you are saying, yeah, you're okay putting your kids back in the classroom even if the teachers have not been vaccinated. Interesting swing of opinion. All right, right now our digital anchor Stephanie Haney joins us. It's time to see what people are clicking on here in Cleveland. Stephanie, a very good Wednesday evening to you.
Good Wednesday to you, Jay. We start off with some comments about people in that poll that we put up there, and people are falling into two groups right now. First are the people who aren't so much concerned for the students as they are for the teachers. Both parents and educators worry about school faculty and staff contracting COVID. And second are the people who aren't worried at all. They're reminding us some students have been schooling in person for a while now, and CDC data shows that it hasn't increased COVID transmission so far. Now, the NFL has its own COVID concerns, with 2 players on the Kansas City Chiefs on the COVID list after getting haircuts. Those players are center Daniel Kilgore and wide receiver Demarcus Robinson. NFL Network reports this is tied to a barber who came into the Chiefs facility. His rapid test came back positive while he was cutting Kilgore's hair, and the barber had cut Robinson's hair off-site the day before. Now, they were all masked up, but still no practice for them due to the close contact. Now, if the players keep testing negative, the report says they could still play in the Super Bowl on Sunday. And Cleveland Cavaliers guard Colin Sexton is talking about his rise to NBA stardom in an essay for the Players Tribune. He talked about how his breakout game against the Brooklyn Nets was really a team moment, but that it took him back to his youth when he was an unranked teenager playing in the European Youth Basketball League. With 42 points himself, Sexton said he felt like he was back to turning heads as a no-name prospect and having the world act like it happened overnight. Now, in reality, this is Sexton's 3rd season in the NBA, and he's been a big part in the Cavs' 10-11 start, Jay. And he says it's time for people to start paying attention to the team again.
Yeah, and he is a bona fide star in the NBA. Very fun to watch. You can fill it up. Stephanie, thank you very much.
Well, still to come for us, my profile of a Cleveland educator who is not letting a little thing like a global pandemic stop her from keeping kids excited about science. I'll have her inspiring story coming up in our 21 Strong series.
And later, meet the 6th grader who spends her free time working on her t-shirt business. And the celebrity who inspired it all. And because we're in Super Bowl week, Betsy, we want to know how much was a ticket to that very first Super Bowl down in Miami, Florida. Was it $5, $12, or $20? Think about it. We'll have the answer when we come back. All right, Betsy, any guesses? How much was a ticket to that first Super Bowl? Average ticket.
I'm going to say $12.
Right in the middle. You got it. It was $12. Now, fun fact, that's the only Super Bowl that did not sell out. It was in Miami. Kansas City and Green Bay played it. Last year, the average ticket price for the Super Bowl, over $4,000.
No, per ticket?
Per ticket.
That's crazy.
Let's just say it's caught on.
Of course, if the Browns go, I'm all in. Like, thrilled. Take my money. Here we go.
That's
Let's
exactly
do this.
right. Take my card. Just get me in that stadium.
Wow. Okay. Well, now we know. Super Bowl history. Well, I'm so excited for this next segment that we have coming up. It's our 21 Strong series, and I'm going to be showcasing one of the most inspiring faces and forces in our community who embodies strength, perseverance, and persistence, even through these difficult times. I'm going to be introducing you to a woman that I'm proud to call a friend, Dr. Terry Wade-Lyles, who leads thousands of Cleveland students through science education. This pandemic has upended education as we knew it, but Terry's own resolve to make things happen is just one part of what makes her 21 Strong.
All Ohio schools, public and private, will go on a 3-week spring break.
As school buildings remain closed across Ohio.
Well, my colleague and I kind of saw it coming.
March 2020. It started as an extended spring break for the Cleveland Metropolitan School District when nearly 40,000 students were sent home, but then they couldn't return to the classroom.
And the reality set in is that this is real and it's long term, and we have children to educate.
Scrambling for equipment and searching for accessibility, the challenge of remote learning was daunting. But Dr. Terry Wade-Lyles, the K-8 science curriculum coordinator for CMSD, has never been one to be discouraged.
It's a challenge, but I love a challenge because I think about my experience as a child, and that's what really drives me.
Hold on to that thought. What's your backstory? How come you're a science nerd like me?
Oh, you know it.
Born in Cleveland, Terry's love of science blossomed early. A little small for her age, she was the kind of girl who liked to dig in the dirt to make her own worm farm.
I loved to go to school because of science class.
She was fascinated by the world around her, but she noticed it was a world that wasn't always full of color. A career day in junior high changed that.
There were astronomers. I remember it was a man and a woman. They had faces like mine. They were of color.
That day expanded her horizons. Eventually, her growing fascination with astronomy evolved into an interest in psychiatry. And even though she still didn't see any professionals who looked like her, she was determined to follow the light of her ambition. Until one of her high school teachers made her dream grow dim.
She basically, for the most part, told me, well, thank goodness you're cute, because women don't become doctors, and plus you're Black, and that wouldn't be a career for you. I knew not to tell my mother that had happened.
That is the experience that motivates her. Instead of becoming an MD, she's a PhD, and her passion is to make sure that children can see themselves as anything they want to be. Her challenge now is to keep that excitement in a virtual setting. For Terry, that means taking science students beyond the classroom.
I think it's critical that we move our students in CMSD into the community. Things have changed since when I was a girl. We have a lot of examples and mentors and folks in science roles and leadership roles.
It's a community that she's relying heavily on. Through collaboration with community partners, Terry is showing students that innovation, flexibility, determination, and tenacity are critical to being 21 strong and key not only to a successful education, but an opportunity to give hope and encouragement to the next generation.
Guess what? I'm a scientist. I'm a doctor. I look like you, and I'm excited for what you can learn here. And so it brings me great joy.
We have so much fun when we get together and talk. And she told me stories that I hadn't heard. So I was so thrilled to be able to share that with everybody. And you know, Jay, the Cleveland Metropolitan School District is the largest school district in Northeast Ohio. They're still not back in the classroom. Yesterday, CMSD announced that they're going to begin offering vaccines to their 7,000 eligible staff and contractors starting next week. We have more on that story at WKYC.com.
Her smile lights up a room.
Oh,
it really does.
Her laugh, we just have such a fun time. And it all goes back to she just absolutely is a joy to be around, and she's effervescent. And a lot of that goes back to science.
Yep, really does. Okay, next on What's New, we're going to introduce you to an incredible 6th grader who started her own business with a little help from her teachers.
And still ahead on What Matters Most at 6. A new drone program is coming to the Akron Police Department. How they plan to use the technology to better protect residents.
Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brandon's microphone still in the basement talking about vaccines and ethics.
Hey, Al, mic check. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Laura Quesos, mic. Thank you. I'm on my mark.
Seen it yet? Is it? I texted it to my best friend. I'm like, look, so excited. Do you know if Freddie Faison got in it?
1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hi, Al. It's been a week or two. I'm back at it. Sure. Betsy.
Do you know if Freddie Faison got in it? Remember, he was the landlord? Because I talked to him. He was on one of the NBC programs. Remember the apartment? I can't remember what it was called, but the community one. He was on there, and I was so excited when he walked in the room. He knew nothing, right? So I'm talking to everybody else, and I said, Mr. Faison, I have a very special question for you. It's not related to the show. And he's like, okay. And I said, have you been called for Coming to America too? And he's like, I'm so glad somebody.
Mic check. It's Romney back. We're talking about drones and Akron police. Okay.
We wrap up this Wednesday edition of What's New with Show Us Something Good. Another kid from Akron is well on her way. Ariel Turner isn't your average 6th grader. In addition to her schoolwork at the I Promise School, she owns her own business, Betsy. It started back in 2019 when she interviewed LeBron James, and during that interview, she wore a really cool tie-dye shirt that said, "We are family." She made it herself, and soon everyone wanted one. Her teachers used this as a lesson to help her advocate for her own business. She was well on her way when the pandemic hit. So Walmart recently stepped up. They surprised her with a box of shirts, paint, and anything you can think of to make tie-dye shirts.
Wow.
And she is on her way. And good for her.
Oh my goodness. Ariel, hook us up with the link.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I would love to get one of those.
All right, we're out of time. Thanks so much for watching What's New. We're back tomorrow at 5, and we invite you to join us then.